Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome in to another episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. 'Tis I, Colton Robertson, and I am joined today by Joseph George. What is up, homie?
What's up? Glad to be here. It is always a pleasure.
And it is always a pleasure to have you, buddy. And we're finishing off February already. Feels like it went by so quick, February. Last movie of February, the year is 1978. Obviously, so far in this month, we have hit 75 with Jaws, 76, Taxi Driver, and then 77, we did a live commentary of Star Wars. The year's 1978.
What a month it is.
What a month. What a month indeed. And I can say this did not disappoint. We're doing the 36th Chamber of Shaolin for this week. Classic kung fu movie. Just beautiful.
It's fully, like, I get it. I get why this is up there as the top of martial arts movies. Like, I get it. Like, the first 30 minutes of the movie, you can be like, okay, you know, it's good. You know, it's not really it's just establishing the world, basically, you know.
Extraordinarily foundational for our protagonist here. And
But man, that like 40-minute mark from that moment on, when he arrives at the temple, from that moment on, like, it's just
Sante.
It's beautiful. That man.
Oh,
what a man.
What a fucking man. And I just love how this, like, you know what? Let's lay the groundwork for the people here. The 36th Chamber of Shaolin premiered February 2nd, 1978 in Hong Kong. It just keeps happening. We just happen to be covering movies that happen to come out during the month that we discuss them. Written by Kwang Ni and directed by Lau Kar Leung. This was a special movie. Like, I really, really, really enjoyed it. Like, from the jump, like the credit sequence, we see Gordon Liu, the actor here, just doing his fucking thing. Not actually setting the stage really for the movie in any way, shape, or form once you get to the end of it. It's just kind of like, we're going to show you what this all kind of culminates in. This is the goal here up front.
And I've learned that this director, his movies are very much about the character's journey and not about like the story too much, because I watched this on like, it's on Amazon Prime. It's on Prime Video. And the ending, it just seemed very abrupt. It seemed like there was maybe like a cut or like something cut out of the movie almost, it seemed, you know, like he goes from defeating
him like with a headbutt to the stomach, and we cut straight to him having the 36th chamber.
Yeah. And I immediately, like, after the movie was over, I was like, okay, I got to know if like there was some footage lost or like what's up. But I'm like, I still loved, like, I don't know, the ending I thought was still great and everything, but I'm like, did I miss, like, was there part of the movie that I just missed or something?
Well, it's interesting because, like, it seemed to me like, you know, he's sent away from the Shaolin Temple. They're like, don't come back until you have this full. Like, you got a roster of people that want to come back and stuff, and then, you know, he goes on his own little revolutionary spree where he aids in taking down the Manchurians, which was an absolutely awesome arc in this movie. I absolutely loved it. Love the revolutionary spirit, as always. Anti-imperialism is just a very easy concept to get behind.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we end with him fighting the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we end with a headbutt to his stomach, and then it's like, you know what? Everyone back at the temple's like, you know what? He did it. Let's go ahead and give him the 36th chamber. And I think that's just kind of like the understood thing. That's just kind of it.
It's like, damn, this dude really ran through our entire thing in 5 years that we've been training our entire lives for.
Right.
This dude's like killing it. The movie's basically a training montage. It's just character development. Like, it's literally, that's all the movie is. It's basically a coming of age story in martial arts form. And like, just seeing every time, he gets a little better at not being so arrogant whenever he fails,
right.
At first,
he gets humbled.
Yeah. He gets very humbled. He's very, the first couple times he fails, he's very angry at himself, and it gets to him. But then, like, he gets it. By the time, like, he's carrying the water with the knives. Yeah.
What a fucking exercise that is, dude.
Each one of these exercises, it's, like, brutal, but they make sense. It's
they absolutely make sense. It's like, it's
just a brutal way to go about it.
It's the quickest way for you to get it.
Yeah. Like, wrists. Like, imagine how strong that, like, these guys' wrists are. And their muscles, like, these are strong people. Like, like bodybuilders don't like match. It's like not the same kind of strong. Like, bodybuilders, they just go to a gym, lift some weights, and do everything. But like, these dudes were either getting stabbed in their stomach or it's like anything is easy to them now. Like, going through after you've been through this, it's like, what's going to the gym and doing like a 400, like that's like nothing compared to getting stabbed, or like your arms getting stabbed if you couldn't do your job. Like, if you fail, it's gonna hurt. Like, I don't know.
And the simple exercise of having to keep your head still and move your eyes back and forth and not be compelled to accidentally move. And like, even sitting at home, you're compelled to move your head with it, because that's what the human instinct is in that moment once it gets to a certain speed.
One of my notes, so like, whenever I got that he was going to have to just go through many, many trials, and that like we were just going to see him just go, like, I was like, I said, like, wow, they're really like focusing on each muscle group or one thing and just blowing it to the max. Like, you're going from no wrist strength to like the strongest wrists in the world, So like, arms and then wrists like made sense, but then they go eyes, and they made eyes badass. Like, they somehow made looking, just eye movements like badass, and then like moving on to the head. I just started laughing whenever I saw these people just headbutting. I'm like, no chance this is happening. Like,
and here's the thing is that like, that part is far and away the most asinine part. That man, the dude said, "What? You're collapsing already?" Of course he's collapsing, bro. He has a concussion.
Yeah, like, there's no way around that, like, no matter who you are as a human, you can only strengthen your skull and head that way. Like, no one works out their head,
Right.
Like, that's a mental battle right there. That's like, you just gotta power through. I don't even know. That's the only one that's like, I don't think this exercise is truly the way to go about strengthening your head. I don't know.
No, I don't think it is either.
But
in fact, I think it is in the long term quite damaging.
Now that you say that, yes, it probably would do way more harm. No, it definitely would do way more harm than good.
There's like whole like CTE and stuff. Like, we know stuff about football now. We know you're not supposed to hit your head a lot.
That's true.
This was like them being like, all right, we're going to teach you a bunch of stuff. Now forget all of it.
Even the master's head was all
all
you just
bruised and cut the
man.
fuck up, just mangled.
I wonder if when swords clash, if this is what they actually sound like. Because choosing this sound, if they had to choose this sound and it's not the like legitimate sound, I find it hard to believe because it's such an unenjoyable sound.
Right.
Like I feel like this is like, I don't know. I feel like this has to be what swords actually sound like when they clash. I don't know. Like because
I'd be willing to bet it is, just because, or like at least the metals they've got clanging together on screen there.
Because man, that was the only part of the movie where I'm like, I just had to like turn it down a little bit in some like sword fights because it was just like, ooh, like
Dude,
this,
it was
like,
super loud
yeah,
too. Like
and it
they
was
made
just
that
piercing. But
yeah, that was definitely some interesting. Like the audio work in this movie is just, it's really fascinating because there's like an obvious amount of like ADR, like adding the sound after the fact, like uh even with like a lot of lines, it seemed that was the case. Um, so it was an interesting like separation between what I was watching and what I was hearing at times. It didn't feel like it was like lining up, and that could just be a product of the fact that it's a foreign film, and
that's true. I mean, like
I speak English.
comparing that to something more in today's age, like I watched Squid Game initially in English dub, and there are some parts where you can get easily disconnected, like when characters are screaming for their lives, or like, as you see on screen, like you expect a deep, horrifying scream, and then someone in a booth can only do so good, like trying to English dub like a horrific scream of getting stabbed in the stomach, something along the lines. But then you watch Squid Game like in the original audio, which is with English subtitles, and you're like, this is just a better experience. And
Yeah,
I
and
wish
it always is.
yeah,
It always
I
is.
wish I could have like watched this in the original audio. I don't even know
Oh,
like there was
did you
no
watch it in
option.
an English dub?
Yeah, there was no option to even switch it.
Oh no shit. I got it on DVD.
Mm,
So I did watch it
dang.
in the original audio, but even then it was an obvious amount of ADR.
Ah, really?
Yeah,
Mm,
like at least it
interesting.
seemed that way. And that also could just be the difference in quality. Like this wasn't a high budget film. There's a good chance that the audio just wasn't that good, and it all
Mm,
sounds kind of, and it's also on DVD. It's not a modern
that's true.
cleanup. Like it's an older, so the formatting is probably important there too.
Hmm.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it regardless.
Oh yeah.
And it
The,
really is just like you get to the 40-minute mark and the rest of the movie is him training, and then there's like 20 to 30 minutes at the end where he's like
all right, let me put this
recruiting
to use.
and yep.
Like
And
actually doing what he wants
there's
to
such a
do.
clear goal from the beginning. He gets it. He just rises through the ranks. It's all about seizing the power, man. It's giving the power back to the people. And I absolutely love that kind of message.
Mm. I just love this culture. The culture, like the respect of the like your teacher. Like we look at our teachers as like you kind of like hate your teachers, but you don't really care. It's just like they're your teachers. Like they're just your
Certainly,
teachers.
and it's certainly the attitude in our culture that there's a lot of stereotypes about teachers being like, well, if you couldn't do it, you taught it.
Yeah.
And I think that's mad unfair, but
Yeah. Like
it's definitely a perspective.
I just feel like I don't know, have like teachers in like Asian cultures, like they're looked at with like the utmost respect. Like you learn a lot from your teachers, like important lessons, like
Yeah.
life lessons. Like we did too, but like we don't have that like respect level to where we put it like to any like it holds any weight like in like what we think sort of
No, I feel
a
you. I
way.
feel you for sure.
But like this like I just love Japanese culture in specific. Like I will live in Japan for a part of my life. Like I hope I do. Like that is a goal of mine. And just like, I just love the whole like Buddhism. Like I'm not a religious person, but like just the virtues and philosophies of Buddhism are cool.
Gotcha.
And I don't know, I just love this sort of stuff, and I'm glad like that I've watched, like this is my first like real watch of a martial arts movie, like classic martial arts movie.
Gotcha.
And I'm glad I could start with this one because this one was just right up my alley.
It's a perfect place to jump in, and like story wise, just it's also interesting because this is kind of a mythic telling of a real period in history.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely making it much more fantastical sort of vibe. It feels, but like these are very real stories, you know, like rebellions happen, and how do they happen? Against evil empires. Like that's how it goes. I love the archetypical storytelling here, and kicking it off with that man who was like, clearly they did a good job in such little time expressing that he's the one you're probably rooting for. And that's just through music and visual storytelling, because they don't expressly state who's on what side at all. It's just kind of like they did a really good job of just cueing you in to what was happening without expressly stating what was happening.
That's true. Yeah,
and I really appreciated that.
Things happen with a purpose. And that was like the kind of the whole point of the training too, is that like these tasks might seem mundane or useless on the surface level, but then like by just doing them, like you understand, like
you're automatically getting that basis for what we're about to get into.
And I struggle to find, I feel like there's a word for this, but every time I try, I fail. But it's like secondhand badassery. And I don't know if there's a word for that, but
I think it's just being proud.
Okay.
Like it's just being like, I'm proud of this character. Like I feel that.
Like, yeah, you get behind him and you're really rooting for him. You're like, dang, this dude's owning it. Like he's got like great motivation, you know, and then like, cause I thought he was just going to like learn Kung Fu, go back and just like murder spree. Is like at first what I thought, like that's probably kind of what he was thinking too. Like before he learned like what everything was about,
the values and everything.
But then when he's like, whenever the master asks him like, hey, what chamber would you like? He's like, I would like some time. And then immediately is like, I want to teach everyone. I want to open this up. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, like, let's go. It didn't click that that's what he was like gonna do, or like.
Oh, and they actually do set that up pretty early on, where the teacher himself is actually saying like, it's unfair that they won't help, because if the people had that power, they could fight back.
And I just didn't think that he would, because the movie being called the 36th Chamber of Shaolin, like I'm like, okay, this dude is obviously creating some new chamber, like of the sorts. I just didn't piece it together that it would be like the school, you know, like opening it up. I didn't think that would be, I thought it was just going to be his his weapon that he made basically.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like, he would just teach people the way of the nunchuck or whatever. I don't know what to call it.
No, it was like the whole chamber is just everybody learning it. It's everybody doing the other 35 chambers all in one chamber.
That'd be sick. That would be like, if he was just like, I'm the best you guys have ever got. While I'm here, let me just teach all of you everything. Don't give me just one chamber. Give me it all. I will run you through everything. But no, he even humbled himself. You know, he like still calls himself a junior monk. You know, like he's still very
well. And it's interesting because it goes from a point of, there's this line early on in the movie that someone tells him, it's like, you need to humble yourself in the enemy's rule. I think it might have been his dad that might have said that, but I can't remember. You need to humble yourself under the enemy's rule. And it ultimately changes for him. It's not, I won't humble myself under the enemy's rule. I'll humble myself with my own power. You know, like, I don't need to submit to them to humble myself. I can fight back and remain humble.
Yeah.
Which is...
Every time he fought, he didn't do any of the killing other than, I guess, the last fight. I don't know if the headbutt killed him. I'm assuming that dude died.
The implication that he just like headbutt him in the stomach.
That dude's chest is just exploded for how strong this guy's head is in this universe.
Right.
You know, like, yeah, that dude's dead for sure. Because he was already bleeding out beforehand too.
Oh yeah,
so,
he was bleeding, like he was spitting up blood, and it's like,
so I
God
guess
damn.
he killed one guy, but like before,
he killed the worst guy. You know, he said it's all. He said Buddhism will conquer all evil.
Mm-hmm. He said even Buddha punished evil. Like that was a sick line. What line did I? Oh yeah, he said like this. Who was he fighting? It was the not the main guy at the end, but the main guy right before. He was like not the general, but like he was like the head of.
He was like a capo.
Yeah, that whoever that guy was, I don't know. I guess I really didn't think of what his role was in the movie. He was just like the boss. Like he's just one of like the, I don't know. Like an important.
Yeah, you're right. I'm trying to find his name.
Was it General Tao by chance? No, that's the guy.
Tien Ta? That was the guy at the end.
Yeah. No, the guy after his first pupil killed the dude for him, but before the end fight. So like the military leader guy, I think. No, he wasn't like I don't know what he was, honestly. Now that I'm thinking about it, what the heck was that guy?
No, and that's the thing, is that some of the story mechanics aren't the easiest to like or not difficult to follow, but like it's just really cut and dry. It's just like, here's what he learned, here's how he's using it.
Yeah, like
and that's kind of the point. It's not really like, it's the story kind of takes a back seat to the fact that he's perfected this and is gonna teach it. I think like that's kind of how I look at this movie. Like it's more about that aspect of it. Opposed to as much as I enjoyed the anti-imperial side of it, and that they ultimately do win out, it seems. At least here locally, you know, it's probably a much grander thing going on than this one city. But
the way they managed to show like taking what he's learned and actually utilizing it, like it was just done beautifully. Like it wasn't I mean, it was a little forced, obviously, because they just had to show him learning.
But yeah, like that one scene where he's expressly using the wrist thing, where he's holding it and beating the shit out of the dude with the stick from a distance.
It was just like yes, like all of it's like the wax on, wax off, the painting the fence. Like it's the same thing, you know. It's like, yeah, all these little things coming together in real fighting. Like, oh, it was just, I don't know, it was sick.
One of my favorite parts of the movie is whenever he's training to fight the man who ended up surrendering his post. He can take charge of any chamber after he fights him within the temple. Whenever he's training with the weapon before he designs his own, and he imagines how it would go.
Ooh, that was,
and like you see him make the moves to go do it, and then you see it in his imagination how it would happen, and then you go to the actual fight and it doesn't go that way, and it's like, damn, that's some relatable shit right there, huh?
That was sick. That whole, like, him just going back and forth, like, I have to beat this guy. How am I going to beat him? He started with a staff, bro. That's what he started with. How humble is that? Dude has 2 swords and you're just, I'll take a staff, you know? Like,
well, and what's interesting about the weapon he designed is that it's kind of like an amalgamation of a little bit of everything. It provides you the mobility and the spryness of the swords, and
kind of
but
goated.
it's
I wonder if, like, in reality, if it's like a good weapon or not. Like, I wonder if, I don't know, like,
well, it's basically just adding a middle part to a nunchuck.
But it seemed like, because nunchucks is like, you're really just trying to whack someone with them, but you could do a lot more with these, it seemed.
That's true, because you can also do the whacking thing with it, but you can fight like it's a bow staff.
It was interesting seeing the difference between like two monks fighting in which they respect each other and, they're not actually trying to kill each other, and then seeing when a monk wants to hurt that person or like can hurt that person,
Yeah, is
like
open is conquering evil.
Yeah, like just when you see like the dude, like he starts whacking him with, like he gets like a whack on the back and then a whack like in the gut, and then you just like blood, and it's like, oh yeah, I forget like those things could actually do damage. Like, if
it's doing internal damage to this man. He's hitting him so hard. It's
not a fight where it's like two monks respecting each other, barely touching, just getting the light touch on each other to prove that they can.
How many times did I tap you? And he's 17 times.
Ooh. Yeah. Surely you would be dead if we were really fighting.
Well, and I think it was also kind of like you should have stopped after one. You lost. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
We kept going. You could have got hurt. Let's kind of rein it in a little bit, man.
And it was whenever he eventually ended up beating him, he smiled, he was like,
he was proud of him.
Yeah, he was proud. It was like, I thought he was going to be pissed and like, oh man, this guy doesn't.
Well, because he had that tone to him the whole movie. It seemed kind of like he was like, nah, let's be careful about this. And it really was that he just needed to feel like he was truly at the top. Like he was truly that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And once you beat him, he's like, all right, fine.
I mean, hey, that's fair. That's fair. If that guy, he's been that guy for however long, we don't know. He's probably one of the best just fighting people there. That's his thing. Like he fights. Like, and if this guy can't beat him, like, yeah, he shouldn't be. Like it makes perfect sense, like his like judgment of him was kind of coming from a fair place, but like it makes it even better that in the moment that he loses, he was like, he was just glad, proud, like, I don't know, it just made it so much better. Like,
no, yeah, I loved that. And I think another really cool aspect of this movie is actually that first 40 minutes where, like, before we get to the temple. Because, like, ultimately it really pays off. Like, that's what really sets up the whole story, the whole actual driving force of what's compelling you to listen and pay attention to what's happening instead of just being like, wow, this is really cool fighting. However, it was really, really cool fighting. But the amount of people who died so that he could make it to the temple was like, damn, like this guy's clearly about to go on some sort of hero's journey. Like they gave him that tragic origin story. This imperial power came in, it stomped out his home, killed his dad, killed his friends.
Then he Trojan horsed up in there, hid in a cart. That was, but yeah, honestly, now looking back on like the first half, like part of the movie, like remembering how much like it was just more like enjoyable to watch too. Like
it was actually like that was the most rewarding part of the movie story wise.
We have like the three like stooges, like three students just going around learning from their teacher.
Absolutely.
That was that, like him, like basically them being like free speech. Like they literally like flat out said, like, should it be wrong that I can't say what I want to say? And the teacher was like, all right, we have a revolution. Like he, just got like right into it. Like,
yeah, he was like, all right, fine. All right. If y'all really want to be about it, we're
bet.
organized. You can join the fight. That's a thing that can happen. And I loved that. And obviously I took my notes only for the first several minutes of the movie, and then it was kind of like I don't really know what to take notes on. It's kind of simple from this point on. He's training, and it was like sick. It was like 4 8-minute montages of him training, or 8 4-minute montages of him training different parts, and it's just like, all right, cool. Like I'm in.
I really thought we were gonna get 35. Like I really thought it was gonna go every single chamber.
Chamber.
Yeah, but this was I think it worked well the way they did it. But yeah,
I kick it off with the rings on his arms remind us of something relatively recently. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh shit, that's dope. I wonder if those actually hold a significance in some sort of Chinese culture.
I would assume like either
history.
for training or legitimate like just defense. Like having those rings like just makes your arms basically just can't get hit with like with a sword that way, you know? Like I wonder if it's more of like an armor.
I also wonder if it's like just for the showmanship aspect of Kung Fu. Like if you are performing it the way he does in the opening montage, maybe you rock those to get the sound effects in and to make it look even prettier.
Yeah, I'm there's a second movie to this, I think. I'm interested.
There's also a third.
I'm interested in what the 36th, what's going on there, you know. That's some magical.
Well, now we're in the 36th chamber.
Yeah. But he doesn't know the 35th though, right? Like he still hasn't learned. Like they mentioned that before he left. He's like, you still don't know the way of the 35th.
Yeah.
Like you still haven't reached that level, you know, like that's like.
Well, because he hasn't. Like, I still don't know if the monks would exactly agree with what he did, which is why I was like, oh, he has the 36th chamber. Like, it kind of came out of nowhere, too, for me, because I was like, I don't know, that didn't seem like something they'd be all in on, you know? Like,
maybe that's how the second movie starts, like him coming back, and then, like, I wonder what the second movie's like, but,
I might have to watch now. I'm intrigued. I like the protagonist. I'm all in on him now. You know what I'm saying?
This was a sick movie. Like as a martial arts movie, definitely my favorite so far ever. Like as just a movie in general too. Like this is, I don't know. I just love this movie. It was just great.
I really do too. And you know, it's one of these that's probably gonna require not a ton of discussion. It was relatively simple in plot, and it really is about how it reminded me of like I don't know. You ever watch like a dance movie like Step Up or like Footloose or Stomp the Yard or some shit where someone starts and they're a good dancer, right? But like throughout the shit, they're mastering that craft, and by the time they hit that last number, you're like, okay, this makes me feel like I want to get up and try to go learn how to dance. That's how I felt about this. That's how, you know, like it's like, okay, that was the like coolest.
I almost wanted to like
I've ever seen.
Yeah, I almost wanted to like work out or do something. I don't know. Like I was like, man, I really don't do a whole lot. Like these guys went through hell. Like if I saw like someone from Shaolin, I'd be like, dang, like knowing what you went through, like I respect the hell out of you, you know, like I'm just here. Like I don't got knives stabbing me in my gut. I don't got my wrist being stabbed trying to spin a blade wheel thing. Man, but my first note that I took, the thing that drew like to open my phone was whenever he jumped across the wood, like for the first time and like just flew like graciously through the air, like beautiful,
oh
you know, like God. Grabbed his leg, like
in the air,
you know, I guess it was.
And what was amazing is he never did another thing like that in the movie. Never once. He jumped like 6 feet in the air, jumped another 6 feet in the air, and just like landed on the other side. And everyone was like, "Oh,
bro
shit."
did the thing where like
and bro never ever took advantage of the fact that he could jump 6 feet in the air again.
Jedi jump, yeah, like he grabbed his foot, like you know the thing where like you jump over your own leg. He like did that for some reason. It like gave
for no reason at all,
like 3 times. Like he just boing 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 like. Yeah, I don't know. That was the first thing that drove me to take a note. Was I just said, "Excuse me, that boy flew." Was my note, because I mean it kind of was out of nowhere. Like I don't know.
Oh no, because like it was just like you watched him do the thing on the barrels like a couple seconds ago, and so you're just expecting him to run right across, and then he does that shit, and you're like, what the fuck?
One of the, I think, best quotes comes from this part of the movie. I don't want to get it wrong. Yeah, the wall may be low, but the Buddha is high. Like, just like every time like a master like humbled him. I don't know. It was just really, like just so many great lines like throughout this whole movie. I can't believe I didn't like write any of them down though. But
no, yeah, I realized just now that I didn't write any of them down. I think I know how I'm gonna seal it off though. Like I think I've got that.
Ooh, but I didn't even think about that yet.
Yeah. But this, I just really enjoyed it, and I don't think it was like the best movie I've ever watched. Like it was definitely simple. There were points where I was kind of I mean I really enjoyed the camera work and stuff. Like it's not exactly what it's known for, but like I thought it was a really appealing movie to look at. There were some interesting choices at points, but it was like that last editing thing where he headbutts him, it makes an awkward cut, and then headbutts him in the stomach and makes another awkward cut, and then we're just at the 36th chamber. See, like that's like a good example of something where I'm just kind of like, I don't get it. So
apparently
it automatically,
this director, that he does that in every single one of his movies. He's known for having really bad fake blood, and his endings are abrupt, is what he's known for. And but he, like, it makes sense. Like his movies are all focused on just the character development. Like all you need to know is that
what you saw.
Defeated the guy. He has his 36th chamber. That's what happened. You know, it would literally, like, what you need to know he shows basically at the end. I don't know.
I absolutely love that.
Like every movie that we've watched, like so far, the opening credits or like the ending has had something cool to it. Like it's different. Like MASH, the credits, you know, where it like announced all of them. Like that, that was cool. Like openings to some movies like have been cool, and that's kind of a common like in a movie that's like a classic or like the best of the year. They usually have something about the movie that is different than like everything else, you know. Like, and it's usually the ending or the opening. Like Star Wars, the opening for that. Like,
you ever seen The Crawl before?
I'm curious if like that was one of the, like, I know movies have opened up with like text before. Like obviously Star Wars wasn't the first movie to do that, but like
the specific style and The Crawl.
Yeah. But man, this movie was just cool. It was just a really good watch. Like definitely will be rewatching this at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
Gonna probably watch all the rest of these movies now.
I'm there, and for sure.
Did you get any Star Wars Visions Mandalorian vibes?
Of course. I think that that's just inherent in the samurai kung fu genre. It influenced the shit out of Star Wars. It just,
I mean, like specifically in the scene where he's out and he has his own students now, and they have like that powder that they're all up like on the roof.
Yeah, it reminds you of the setting in The Jedi. That specific
that
episode.
One, yeah, it reminded me of that. And then like whenever
Mr. Magistrate.
What was it? Something, it reminded me of the storyline of where Mando and Ahsoka like freed that one town. Yeah, like with the magistrate, like bringing her away from like the town to fight the magistrate, like, you know, and like having everything else going on. Like I just felt I don't know, I didn't know if it was pulled from this or anything. Well,
and I mean, like,
I got the vibes.
Star Wars brain going, you know. I know this isn't the first time Star Wars isn't the first time this was ever done, because this was actually I mean, chronologically before Order 66, but Master telling the son to run, get away from here. This power is putting their foot down, and we have to get away. Something as simple as that makes me make a Star Wars connection. And I don't think that it is expressly there, but because we're Star Wars fans, I'll always bring it back to that in some way.
I know George, I know he pulled a lot of inspiration from martial arts movies. I just don't know if this movie in specific was one that he has mentioned before. But I don't know. I felt like a lot of, I don't know, maybe martial arts movies just have the general inspiration that they all bring to other types of media. Just the storylines of martial arts are pretty similar. A young, upcoming student that eventually masters everything, and whatever their life problem is at the time, they resolve that life problem. And
the Karate Kid.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that's why martial arts movies are just so beautiful. It's just because the story is
they're coming of age stories in one of the most exciting ways possible, which is always really entertaining to see, and especially one that unfolds over the course of years, like we saw here. They expressly state that his training takes a while. He doesn't just get all this immediately.
He was sweeping for a year.
Some early shit.
Yeah.
He breezes through some early shit in months, and then a couple 30 to 40 minutes later, they're like, it's been 5 years, and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah. Whenever he was sweeping the leaves or raking the leaves, and the teacher came up to him and he's like, how long have you been here for? And he's like, a year. And I was like, whoa, this dude's dang, he's already been here for a year. And he's like,
he's a student.
Yeah. And then he's like, I haven't even learned any martial arts yet. What's up? And then he's like, oh, you can learn anytime. I just thought that was hilarious.
Had to ask, man.
Just had to ask any place where you'd like to start. I knew, obviously the dude's like, yeah, right at the top, 100%. And I'm like, oh, okay, this dude's about to be humbled real quick. Yeah, I knew where they were going with from that conversation where he's like, where would you like to start? I'm like, yeah, this dude's about to get humbled really quick,
real fucking quick.
And I guess my only gripe...
I respect the ambition, but it's you got to learn.
My only gripe is that we didn't get enough of that 35th chamber, I think. I just want to know what's going on there. With the...
you use the force on this man.
We hear no sounds. We see no color. They were
reciting the sutra. They were doing...
There's some shit there. I will watch this second movie, and I hope that is what it is about. I hope, or at least I hope it's not the whole movie, but I hope it's
a part of it.
Involved. Yeah,
I hope so too. That'd be badass. I mean, he's still got to learn it. It makes sense if that's what he went ahead and learned.
Left, yeah,
But yeah, man, shit. I don't really have a lot else to say about this movie. It really is a pretty simple one. You got much? I loved the score. I felt like there was definitely a certain influence it had on certain aspects of other soundtracks in Star Wars. To a degree, there was actually a specific point, and I wish I could remember the tune now, where they were doing something, and I was like, oh, I feel like I've straight up heard this before. In Star Wars. So I'll have to go find that point in the movie again and try and articulate it later, but I really enjoyed the soundtrack. That was another aspect of this movie I really enjoyed.
And this, I guess, being a foreign film, it probably didn't win any American awards.
No, it didn't. It didn't. No Oscar nominations. There's not even a awards and nominations section on the IMDb page. So that's rough. But I did really, really, really enjoy this movie. I mean, I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed watching Taxi Driver a couple weeks ago. Certainly.
That's for sure. But do we enjoy it as much as a Star Wars? I mean, as much as a Jaws? We gave both of them a 5?
I wouldn't say I was all the way up there. I bring it down just a couple, real slightly. Are we just going ahead and going to the rating here?
I mean, I don't have anything else to say. I'm trying to find anything else.
I think I'm
But yeah, I
good. Like
think
it's a real cut and dry story. I
mhm,
love the development. I love the martial arts. Uh, and just like it's just kind of like a love letter to it. That's just kind of all it is. It's like it
mhm,
doesn't just show you the product. It shows you how he got there. It shows you the intensity of the training and that aspect of it I really, really appreciate. But yeah, the enjoyment level here is certainly higher than Taxi Driver, but it's I mean, like, if we're comparing it to like how much I enjoyed watching Star Wars or I enjoy watching Jaws, it's just not quite there, you know. Not down a lot though. I'd go around the 4.5. Like, I enjoyed it a lot, but I
it's
can't comfortably
it's
put
like a
it at 5.
different kind of enjoyment. It's
Yeah,
like yeah, with Star Wars, it's obvious. Like we're going to enjoy that no matter what. Like it's
yeah.
just fantastic. But like Jaws was just like it's just fan.
I
It was
didn't.
just a great movie. Like I don't know. Like I don't even
There
know
was
how
more
to.
story mechanics
Yeah.
and character development for multiple characters. It really is about one character's journey here, and I appreciate that. But you lose a little bit for me, just comparatively to like the way they expand on Leia, Luke, Han, and the way you expand on Brady and Hooper and uh fucking what was his name? Working class hero.
The of
Quint.
Oh,
Quint.
Quint. Oh, of Jaws. Okay, I was like, I didn't know
Jaws.
who you were going for. I thought you were
No,
just
I was just
naming
going with
characters of previous
The Jaws
movies.
cast
Okay.
there.
Uh,
Uh but yeah. So
I
yeah,
think yeah,
4.5 in the enjoyment category there.
I'm right there
You
with
with
you.
me?
Yeah, I was. It was too low to give it like a 4. I'm like, I enjoyed it more than a 4,
Oh,
and I'm
certainly.
like, I'm not a 5, and I'm like, yeah, probably right, just right in the middle of like a 4 and a 5. I'd say that's about right. Um, as a genre, as a martial arts film, though, they knew how to like level up his skill slowly. Like
Yeah,
the wrist thing. Like you got like he had his grip was very far up initially, and then you like jump to them grabbing at the end of the thing, and you're like, oh damn. Like there's so many of those moments. Like holy crap. Like they knew how to make the training feel intense and like ramp up like every step of the way. Um,
absolutely.
the fights had purpose and like story behind them, and that's like in a
Hmm.
martial arts film. That's what I like. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for just cool fights for fight's sake. Like a fight's supposed to tell a story, and that's why like Shang
Certainly.
Chi is like a beautiful martial arts movie because the fights are literally like dances. Like they're
Yeah,
beautiful. And they have perfect storytelling. Like, and this movie's no different. Like every fight had a purpose to it and beautiful story behind it. I mean, as a martial arts film, I can't really give
5 out of
this.
5.
Yeah, I can't give it anything other than a 5 out of 5. So I'm glad you agree there. When I'm not just speaking out of thin air there, but yeah, it was beautiful. Now, as a film, I haven't really given this much thought. Um,
I'm pretty high on it.
yeah,
Like, overall, I think it's definitely like what we've given something like a 2.5 before, right?
Mash. Mm-hmm.
Mash. It's definitely not there. It's definitely above
No.
that.
Oh yeah.
Uh, at least a point above that, at the absolute least. I was comfortable in my head going 4 out of 5. Uh, I'd even be willing to go up with that. I'd be willing to go down with that. It's just somewhere in that range.
Okay. Well, I guess this being the last one of February, let's just look at our other February movies
Let's do
to
it. Let's
get a
comp.
basis. Jaws as a film, we give a 4.8. Taxi Driver as a film, 4.1, and Star Wars a 5. So, as a film, do you think this is better than Taxi Driver?
No, no.
Yeah, and I don't think so either. So it's at most a 4.1. At most.
And then I'd go at most a 4.
Yeah.
Because I'd say it's definitely at least 0.1
Yeah.
below Taxi Driver.
Yeah. So that narrows it down a little bit. So
it does. It does plenty, actually. That helped
in
me a
between
lot.
3.5 basically and a 4. And
I'd go on the high end there. What if we just like went like 3.85? Really fucked it up there. Just really took liberties with our scaling system.
we could even do like a 3.87 if we want to get crazy with it, like don't even give it a 5 or a 0, but I think like a 3.8 like 3.85. Yeah.
3.8's good.
I'm down to go 3.85. I on my Excel sheet I have it to 2 decimal places.
Well, let's do it. 3.85 is cool.
So yeah, that feels kind of right too. It
3.85 out of 5
feels fitting. It gives it an overall score of a 4.45.
I feel good about that.
Which, yeah, I think that means it overall better than Taxi Driver, which I agree with. Like as a film, no, but like overall enjoyment for the genre.
Yeah, overall enjoyment and genre fulfilling. It's definitely there.
And puts the month average, even with the hit of Taxi Driver, puts it above the month of January.
What a month.
The month average is 4.45 as well. It is the same as our 36 Chamber overall rating. And January's is 4.22. So
MASH really gave that thing a fucking hit, huh?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, MASH 2.2 or 2.67 as an overall. So it really did tank. But yeah, we had
aged poorly. It just did.
Yeah. I don't know, but this was a great month. We had a lot of even with just 4 movies, had a lot of wide variety of movies. Every movie was
really wide variety,
drastically different than the last.
Jaws, Taxi Drivers, Star Wars, and the 36th Chamber of Shaolin. What a fucking month!
I guess 36th Chamber of Shaolin, like you can put Luke in here, and it's kind of the same. Like,
I was making those connections. The development in a specific set of.
Obi-Wan teaches him what he needed to know,
and
he went out, destroyed the Death Star. Movie over. It's
there. You go.
It's kind of So I guess if there is any similar movie here, it's Star Wars and 36 Chamber, but still, widely different movies. But yeah, this was a great month. Great month for expanding the horizons, even though Star Wars was one of them. And I've already known Star Wars for my whole life. But the other 3 were very, nice to watch and very welcome.
Surprises.
Oh, yeah. Aren't surprises
one
always...
of which not entirely welcome.
Oh, that's a Hawkeye line. Yeah, I was thinking it was in this movie, but no. It was it was like, aren't all surprises unexpected or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, what a good movie.
What a good movie. Where did it leave us in the overall score for 4.45?
Mm-hmm.
Shaolin?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
All right.
4.45.
Well, yeah, that sounds right to me. I'm there. That's it for the month of February, and that's it for the 70s. Wait, that's not true. We kick off March with 1979 next week, baby.
One last 70s movie. Yes.
Apocalypse Now.
Mm-hmm. One last 70s
so
movie.
we're ramping it back up with a Francis Ford Coppola flick. A long one again. Another 3-hour trek, I believe, if I remember correctly. Mm. So I'm really looking forward to that. Hell yeah. If you would, head to patreon.com/KoroBloom, where you'll find well over 21 hours of exclusive content at this point with a bunch of artwork I put over there, and all that money goes back into making sure that I can put on this here podcast. I don't do any ad sales, so this is definitely costing me money at the moment. So that's much appreciated, and because I love doing this, and I'll keep putting up the money. I'll keep putting up the money if I absolutely fucking need to, but if I didn't have to, that'd be awesome. Yeah, if you also would, go follow on Twitter @PennyBloomPod, where you'll get updated on what we're doing week to week, movie by movie. If we ever have a change of plans from what I say here on the podcast, what'll be next week? Like if for some reason 1979 doesn't end up being Apocalypse Now, which it will, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say it will. You would find out on Twitter that it wouldn't be that. If we wanted to go and change it to Mad Max or some random shit like that. I think that's a 79 movie. Can't believe that's the one I pulled out of my ass. But yeah, if you would, go follow on Instagram at Penny Bloom Podcast. I was Colton Robertson, joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, buddy.
Thank you for having me. It is always a pleasure.
Remember, peace, love, and bloom, and never humble oneself under the enemy's rule.